Live. This is the market update. Are we back? The market is up 7%. Wow. How did that happen? I'll tell you. And it's very simple. Wow. It's really simple. It's so simple, I almost missed it. We are going to cover why is the market up? We're going to cover what has to happen for it to stay up because, bears got trapped today. But they may be back tomorrow because this rally is big enough that people could call it a bear market rally. There's the dead cat bounce. That's no bounce. That's been the last 2 weeks. And now we have this rocket ship today. Is it a bear market rally? Here's the first hint. You want some hope? I'll give you some hope. There's a lunar eclipse on the 2nd and 3rd of March. Sometimes eclipses can create magnification of trends. That's what happened with the solar eclipse in February. Gold, silver up, Bitcoin down. Now, headed into this eclipse, is it a reversal? It certainly looks like that. Somebody called me yesterday and said, what do you think of the market? I was like, skip the month of, skip March. Wait for April. Unless there's a reversal on the eclipse. Lo and behold, there's a reversal on the eclipse. Not just that, but we'll go over the charts, but there was a 13 bottom in Solana we discussed last night, probably too casually. Hey, there's a 13 bottom in Solana, but it's got to break above a moving average. Well, guess what? It's breaking above the moving average. Speaking of moving averages, the big moving average will be the 200-week exponential moving average at around 67K in Bitcoin. That's the big one because that was the apocalypse when they closed below it 2 days ago. That's what sent crypto Twitter into a tizzy. That's what got everybody selling down to 62. I think everybody just got stopped out. That's what it feels like. Everybody they stopped the longs out, and now they're stopping the shorts out. However, with the 13 bottom in Solana, and you've got the eclipse, this could be turning around. Now, as I have been discussing on my show, on the VIP show, in the Patreon reports, on Crypto Princess's show, okay, the only AI trade that makes long-term sense is Bitcoin. Because as every short video I've published in the last 2 days will tell you, AI cannot replicate the Bitcoin code, they cannot replicate the Bitcoin network, and they cannot make more Bitcoin. They cannot. Period. I guess they could copy the code, but they can't copy the network. And they can't make more Bitcoin. And no industry, no software industry, no bulldozer company, nothing is safe from AI. Skynet put a robot fighter jet in the air today. This has an impact. And as I discussed yesterday ad nauseum, the fear in equities was very real. So real that all the strategists were like, well, okay, maybe it's bearish over here, but don't worry, it's fine over here. Okay, yeah, right. Just like everybody who was named Sarah Connor was safe in the Terminator. No. Even if it was the wrong Sarah Connor. No. Nobody is safe from AI altering business models, industries, companies, starting companies. You cannot stop it. As one guy said, it's very simple. It's altered the value of time, and nobody knows what stonks are worth. And that's what yesterday's talk was all about. Because we had nothing to talk about, because everyone was ignoring the fact that the only real AI trade where things can actually go up, where they're so cheap it's ridiculous, is, ta-da, crypto. And here we are 1 day later. Now you're like, okay, Bill, that was yesterday's news. What's today's news? Let me tell you what today's news is. And it goes back to the history of the Fed. As usual, it's very subtle because the Fed is subtle when it does things. People don't realize this. Fed enters AI panic as tech sits on massive support. This is from Zero Hedge. I'm going to try to get our friends from TikTok a better look at this. So this is a Zero Hedge headline that says, Fed enters AI panic. I'm like, the Fed has entered the AI panic. Who knew? Can't get it. Hard to disagree with Morgan Stanley that this could be the peak of fear when the Fed comes in and says the Citrini report on AI overstates risks to jobs. And you're like, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. What's the Citrini report? So this whole hysteria in equities about industries, companies, anything involving human capital, just, like sell now, ask questions later, came from a viral Substack where somebody simulated a macroeconomic report from 2028 saying, hey, remember back in the day in 2026 when this all got started and all of a sudden knowledge became free and then that changed all of business? And then that created a massive labor market shock. Okay. And then, of course, this created massive fear in equities. And then Morgan Stanley goes, I think the fear may be over. And then Goldman said, I think the fear may be over. And then I didn't realize it. Where they got that information from? They got it because the Fed came in and said, you know what? We think this report is overstating the risk. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. And then 45 minutes later or an hour later, this is published at what? 6 o'clock in the morning? 4 hours later, crypto is up double digits. I'm like, oh my God, they just put high-powered money in the system. They just said, they're panicking in stocks. It didn't show up in the indexes, but they were panicking. We can't have this. We have the entire U.S. military in the Middle East. We just landed F-22 fighter jets. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are irreplaceable aircraft. We just sent a dozen over there. Something could happen. And then the Fed goes, oh, wait a minute. That could happen, and we have this job freak out? Oh, no. We're just going to turn on the printer. Turn on the printer. I mean, what explains, I saw Polkadot was up like 18%, other than the fact that everyone was short and no one owns Polkadot, just saying, right? These altcoins were up, and then they were up double digits. Okay, yes, the usual manipulation squeeze, maybe, but not with this Fed headline. Not with the Fed going, yeah, we just hit the print button. We can't have this. We can't have like a massive job panic that roils equities. The Fed's not stupid. They know that this changes all valuations. It just completely changes psychology. So let's add yesterday to today. Yesterday was, well, you know what? They're too busy selling the victims of AI when they should be buying the beneficiaries. That would be crypto, us, altcoins, Solana, Sui, Polkadot, whatever. Right. And of course, everything looked terrible, except for maybe Solana, Zcash, Bitcoin. But now you have a realization of let's do something positive at a major Gann reversal point when the Fed may have turned on the printer. Now, of course, we have to be careful of a failed rally. You do not want to see Bitcoin up 15% today. I don't care what the level is. You do not want to see this go past 8, 9%. Obviously anything a close, you get two closes over 70. That would be unbelievable. If you got back above the 200-week moving average, I'll spare you the chart gore. That's probably the number. 67, 68K, you're going to need a weekly close above that. And if you get it, right around this eclipse, then you could have yourself a reversal because the Fed's not going to sit there, and they've already commented on it. Why is the Fed commenting on a viral Substack? It's theoretical. It's not an actual piece of economic data. It's theoretical. I mean, I can try to share it. It's called the 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. Citrini Research. Now, again, just to review, this essentially says that in today's world, when you have knowledge, code, intelligence, know-how, that know-how gets turned into wages somehow, right? It turns into earnings, and then that turns into wages. You create value, you get paid, right? Simple. Not anymore. Some machine creates value. Prices may go down because it can produce it or make it in a more inexpensive way, but it doesn't create wages. There are no wages. Grim. Yes, I understand that. You'll get paid for testing whatever machines build or create. Or you can own Bitcoin. Why? Because it's the only scarce asset. It's the only safe play. You know, they say Bitcoin is digital gold. We went through this yesterday. Bitcoin is not digital gold. Gold is gold. Okay. Bitcoin is the only scarce digital asset. Now, yesterday, that was a joke. Today, with a robot fighter jet in the sky, the Fed commenting on a theoretical article, which means the printer could be on, with an eclipse. Hello, we got to pay attention. We don't want a failed rally, but I would imagine nobody was expecting the printer except our friends in equities. Because yesterday, NASDAQ was up 1%, and I couldn't believe it. Like Bitcoin traded like total garbage most of the day. Didn't start going up until the state of the onion. Looked like it was going to go down. I mean, I was on the air. They sold the uptick. Bitcoin was up 3%. They sold it. I'm like, oh, you know, these day trading leverage dimwits, can't stand them. Can't stand them. Right. But, you know, they were in control. They were in control. You know, they may try to get control back tomorrow, but you got to watch out now for plain vanilla money. So now what's next? So let's assume the Fed is in, right? Uncle Sugar has to do some treasury bill auctions coming up. What is going to happen at the end of this month when portfolio managers, if they see a 10% run in Bitcoin in a couple of days, and they go, oh, wait a minute, we can get out of this and into the Bitcoin ETF. Oh, hey, look, I found the Substack. Oh, look, I found Jordy Visser. Oh, look, I found Bill Noble. Oh, look, I found 16 other people going, hey, this is AI proof. You know, stable coins, Bitcoin, virtuals, like, you know, the AI trade. We talked about some of this yesterday. We talked about it on the VIP show. And we talked about it with Princess. Tau, Render, virtuals, all this stuff that was a joke. It just left for dead. For dead is awake now. And if portfolio managers figure this out in legacy, which again is not priced in at all, like XRP at $1.46, I'm looking at the 200-week moving average. It's like sitting right on top of it. What happens with an XRP ETF? Has anyone thought about this? And if you want to have a giggle, let's have a giggle. I looked at this. All this advanced TA, right? Let me ask a question. Quick question. So, you ever heard of like mean reversion or return to the mean? Probably not. But this line is the 200-day exponential moving average. The 200-day moving average, basically, it's like, give me the average price of where Bitcoin has been over the last 200 days, like roughly the last year. That's at 91K. Is it me? Or when I look at this picture, like does Bitcoin seem very, very, very far away from its 200-day moving average? Like 42% away. 42%. Like the top, at the top, it was 20% above its 200-day moving average. Now it was, before today, it was 42% below the 200-day moving average. I'm like, so let me get this straight. We got an eclipse. Skynet is in the sky. The Fed is commenting on the AI debacle in equities, or the AI debacle that could happen, and they turned on a printer. If this is high-powered money in the system, if it is, let's not be stupid. If it is, shorts will try to fight it and they'll get stopped out. That's how you'll know, right? It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. If someone buys it up 8% and it goes up to 9%, that's not a bull market. But if the shorts come in and they try to hit this thing again and they run into BlackRock or Michael Saylor or any of these other characters that have to allocate massive amounts of money, then you're going to know. You're going to know the printer is on. Like you see anything from, it's like you got to look. Now we're looking for clues. Now we got our first clue. Now we're looking for any other clue. We're looking for Michael Saylor. We're looking for the Orange Man's kids. We're looking for Larry Fink, BlackRock. Any of these guys come out and say anything about Bitcoin, you know it's on. If they stay silent, maybe it's just a bear market rally. You don't want to get, you don't want to get stupid. But, and in many ways, it was classic. Like I had one chart that had no support in ETH. I couldn't even look at it. I couldn't really find support in Bitcoin outside of my little linear regression channel. The only thing yesterday that we had, and this is also typical, right? Everybody thinks that every chart goes bing, 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 bottom and top. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The only two charts yesterday that seemed clear to me were Monero, right? Because Monero was sitting literally right on top of the bottom of its little regression channel, right? Shrink the screen up for our friends joining us from TikTok. Zcash was close. Zcash was close. Bitcoin was close. Pretty close. Almost got there. But I mean, there's a lot of room here. 91K is the top of this channel. I mean, last time they tried it, it got to 97. And then, of course, there was the 13 bottom in Solana, which is, nifty. And a lot of times in TA, it's the one chart you blow off. I didn't blow this chart off. I wish I had made the whole stream out of it, but now you can make the whole stream out of it because guess why? Because now you're blowing through this moving average, right? Like all of these moving averages that are generated by this quantitative system, like Bitcoin is still trying to get through it, right? This moving average has stoned Bitcoin since October. You had this awful fake out here in January where you broke out and then came back below. God help us all if that happens. You had this brutal failure right here. We discussed this last night where it failed at the moving average and went down. And now is it going to break out or isn't it? Looks good to me. I mean, there was, and I never do this because it requires me to explain all the different, there's a couple different DeMark methods for making these numbers. They're called sequential and combo. Two different ways the numbers get generated. So for laughs, I looked at combo. I'm a sequential guy. I know you don't know what that means, but every once in a while, we like to switch over to combo. I know a guy, a hedge fund guy who only uses this method for Bitcoin. This could make an argument that this was it. At 60, according to the DeMark combo work, that was the end. That was it. And if you take this off, I didn't realize this either. This is textbook for our friends at TikTok, right? This is textbook. Okay. 1 down, flash crash October. 2 up, 3 down, right? Sharply. The 2 wave is small, so the 4 wave is big, boring you to tears. Oh, everything's fine. And then selling climax 5 wave. That's like right out of a book. That could be it. You know, you put that together with, you know, a 13 bottom in Solana, a 13 bottom in Solana, an eclipse, you know, decent chart support for a market leader like Monero. Because remember, Monero was a leader of the market early in the year on the upside. If there was any leadership, it was privacy. I mean, I don't even have to get started. You know, I've been wearing my antivirus t-shirts so much. I had to wear something different today. Don't get me started on privacy and AI. Zcash is only up 4% today. They were trying to do one of these dumb days where it was like Bitcoin up, Zcash down. I'm like, oh, that's cute. If we're buying QQQ and we're buying NASDAQ and we're buying Magnificent 7 sludge, we better be buying privacy. And God forbid, at the end of the month, somebody allocates money out. And one thing I am kind of proud of is that, this is life as an analyst, right? If I ever get this right, we can do the market update from my boat. Seriously. I said the day the world changes is the day some AI hyperscaler says, you know what? Maybe we're going to spend a little less money than we thought. Just a little, right? And yesterday, we had our friends from OpenAI, okay? You know, everyone's favorite lizards, came out and said that, you know, instead of doing like 1.5 trillion, we're only going to do 600 billion over the next couple of years. Now, it's like, as soon as these hyperscalers admit that they've gone too far, that's when it flips. Either they go down and we go up, or I didn't think of it that, you know, this was the buy signal. I mean, if I had said that on the air, you would have thought I was out of my mind. You would have been like, okay, Bill, yeah, now you're getting desperate. But the hyperscalers got a little bit less hyper. The trade has been done, right? Can they really spend the amount of money that they say they're going to spend? And if they do, when are they going to get a return on that money? Well, it's not going to be 10 years like the internet between the .com thing in 2000 and the iPhone. It's not going to take that long. But, you know, these companies are spending themselves into a cash flow negative position. And, you know, AI changes everything, including the Magnificent 7. I mean, I think the only entity that may have a moat is Tesla, because they got robots and rockets. But, you know, again, that doesn't mean that stock's properly valued either. No hate or love either way. There's just not enough love over in Bitcoin. And at the moment where they go, okay, you know, maybe we have to chill out. You know, portfolio managers are not stupid. Like, I saw that thing on Zero Hedge, so did they. They saw the Sam Altman headline with, you know, lizards going, you know, backing off the $1 trillion budget. They saw it too. And then they're watching this price action, and they're going to watch the crypto heads try to come in here and hit it. I know they're going to hit it. You know they're going to hit it. I mean, everyone listening to me is like, oh, look, Bill's on the air, Moon Boy's back, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. You know, let them come in. Let the shorts come in. Like, you know, just give them a great table, buy him an appetizer, pour him some Pellegrino, let him have a shrimp cocktail, and let's see how it works out. Let's see if Larry Fink walks into the room, or any of these guys that are huge who are going to be like, wait a minute, we cannot miss this again. Remember, they missed it. A lot of people missed it. Pension funds missed it. All these characters that paid 120. Think about it. Think about all the people that paid 120. Harvard, pension funds. Think about all that stock MicroStrategy sold, all of those preferred stock instruments, all of that paper that got all the treasury companies, all these characters that paid 120 and missed it can now pay 68. Basically, maybe this is the most bullish thing you could say about crypto so far today, is that for all intents and purposes, we are now back at the 2021 high in Bitcoin. The 2021 high was like 69K. We're at 60, the Bitcoin is at 69K. ETH is at 2,000. People act like there's no stable coin volume, like none of this is ever going to happen. Solana, just in case you're wondering, is still a double-digit Hershey Kiss coin, even up 13%. $88 for Solana. Can you believe it? And some of this stuff in my mind can go up. It can go up 5 to 6% a day. And actually, I would prefer that. I would prefer that to any like 25% up God candle, because that will get sold. That shorts will attack that. And no plain vanilla buyer in the ETF is going to want to pay up, particularly with a geopolitical event that appears to be imminent. Or is it? By the way, just as a point of trivia, somebody made a big bet on one of these betting sites, the one that begins with a K, forgive me if I can't pronounce it, that there would be a UFO reveal by 2027. Somebody made like a several $100,000 bet. People think that that's coming from somewhere inside the halls of Uncle Sugar. Amazing how they have all these unbelievable distractions. And even if these things come out, whether they're true or they're not true, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? There is going to be one undeniable conclusion. We need scarcity, privacy, and decentralization. If the lizards really are lizards, Katie, bar the door. I'm serious. Like, what can we trust if there's little green men in charge, or if little green men are walking around right now and we don't know about it? Or there's a movie coming out by Steven Spielberg this summer about little green men with clicky voices. What happens if that's an actual primer for what's really happening? I mean, I'm just saying that the bet was made. Don't S the messenger. These things are out there. The case for crypto, for AI, for fast payments. I mean, I didn't really have a problem paying $3 for XRP. It's now at $1.46. Somebody did ask me, I got a lot of XRP. What should I do? I said, you know what? I can tell you what I told her. I said, you know what? If you have to get rid of 10% just to stay sane, so you don't wind up getting out of the market, get out of 10%. That keeps you in the market. That's what I was saying yesterday. Please do not leave the market, because the day everyone wakes up, I mean, who would have known, right? Skynet fighter jet and the Fed commenting on some obscure AI report. Like, that's why the guy in stocks was calling it science fiction. Equities have ignored everything, and some theoretical piece throws the market into a tizzy and turns the printer on. That was not on anybody's bingo card. Trust me. And it sure wasn't on the bingo card of any of these Bitcoin shorts who have just been able to indiscriminately lean on this thing without thinking. Period. You have been able to lean on this market without thinking, and traders love that. They absolutely love it. They don't want to think. They want to follow their rules. Oh, this thing upticks. Oh, I'm going to short it on any bounce and then just put a stop in, and they just don't get me. They can't get there. They can't get this thing up more than 2% in one day. Okay, well, they're all getting stopped out today. And of course, there'll be all these headlines like, such and such amount liquidated. That's not the issue. Every time I look at a chat, every time I do a research report, the big question I'm going to want to know, or you're going to want to know, is going forward is, what is the ETF volume? you start seeing volume coming into Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, you start seeing like the crypto stocks. Like let's do a crypto stock price check. Because remember, some of these crypto stocks that had AI exposure were actually doing fairly well before this thing turned around. So MicroStrategy only up 8%. That's not ridiculous, but you know, Scythe is up 10%. Marathon Digital, a miner, is up 7%. Okay, HUT is down because that was one of the ones that was outperforming along with CIFR. Coinbase up 13%. Galaxy up 8%. Galaxy Digital, crypto hedge fund. My God, look at this. Look at what Galaxy Digital did yesterday. This is the closest thing crypto has to an investment bank. It was like Monero, right? Right on its, like literally like right on the regression line yesterday. They dropped it on the open and they brought it back. Novogratz, he knew. I already told this story yesterday about how he was talking about exponential improvement in AI. I should have known. I should have known. You know what I'm saying? Like that it was like, okay, when you start to see these guys on the tape or on your Instagram feed, you know, and the ironic thing is, I think the fear of this geopolitical event, which is probably going to happen, may wind up bringing in the Fed. I mean, it's a very short show. If we have a mysterious squeeze in Bitcoin, there's a geopolitical event and it goes to 50. Bitcoin goes to 50. That's a really short show because you're using a geopolitical event to predict behavior. I think if there's a geopolitical event with the level of fear that you had in equities, as I said yesterday, you had what was called the Hindenburg Omen. Oh my God. I ran the Hindenburg Omen through some of my GAN models. Oh my God. This thing told me to just stop what I was doing and hide under my desk, that the great ball of fire is coming. I was like, all right, I'm not saying that on the air, but it does make sense that if I knew about the Hindenburg Omen, it's quite common. The plunge protection team knew about it. That's the group of people at the Fed that are in charge of making sure the stock market doesn't go down in any meaningful way. They knew about it. They couldn't let this AI thing get crazy. It may be one of the reasons why they brought the UFO story in as a distraction. Now that it makes sense to me, right? That's the distraction from the real problem, which is that because of AI, you do not know what any legacy company is worth. No stock, no bond. The book is out the window. The only thing you can figure out is what crypto is worth because it's supply, demand, privacy, and scarcity. That's it. That's it. That's the finance textbook. That's all you know. That's all you need to know. If you're a chart person, great. That's it. We're reading the tea leaves and the footprints in the snow from now on. Thanks to this guy in this Substack article. Imagine, think about it. The Federal Reserve had a comment on a viral Substack about AI, even if it's a governor. When has that ever happened? Ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Federal Reserve says their latest Substack is, or the Substack of the week from the Fed is no. Right? What a random comment. Of course, there are no random comments with the Fed. This is how the Fed used to communicate, and now they did. Because, I'm sure someone's going to tell me why the market is up a lot today, and I'm sure there'll be a wide variety of explanations. Right? Right? Circle leads crypto stocks higher as bounce strengthens, says CoinDesk. They don't know. Right? They don't know. They're talking about Circle. Tether invests $200 million in digital marketplace. Right? Now, one headline is here that is interesting. And it's worth talking about. You're going to have a reversal of epic proportions, assuming you do. When the bears are short, the bulls are out, bearish and short, right? And to get a reversal, you have to get the bulls out, bearish and short or hedged. And what's funny is one of the reasons why the market could be trading the way it is today is because everybody got this fantastic idea after Bitcoin went down 50%, was to go into derivatives markets and sell or short bullish bets. They kept their Bitcoin, but they said, oh, don't worry about our Bitcoin because we're going to get yield on it by using the derivatives market. Well, guess what happens to the value of your bullish bets if Bitcoin starts ripping? Just dream a little dream here with me for a minute. What happens? Yeah, they got to cover all of that. They either got to buy more Bitcoin or they got to cover it. Okay. It's called a gamma squeeze, right? Because with these little bets, the higher Bitcoin goes, the more short or hedged they are. The more money, they're losing money at an increasing rate, which could be why the market trades the way it does today. That's how a 2% rally turns into a 7% rally. Because everybody goes, oh my God, I have to cover everything now. And I'm not just talking about the little leverage shorts. I'm talking about these huge players. Go Google how many people said like MetaPlanet, MicroStrategy. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get yield. Okay. This thing starts ripping off the eclipse or for whatever reason, watch out. I mean, it is beware the failed rally. I mean, I don't have to go over that, right? We know that if you have a 10% rally that fails brutally, it's over, right? You're looking at 58 best case scenario, 58K best case scenario. If you had a 10% rally that failed brutally because if there's a geopolitical event or something terrible happens to stonks. However, like I said, if that does not happen, there are a lot of people who have to buy and a lot of people who have to cover derivative shorts. I'm not talking about perps. I'm talking about legacy ETF players. This whole ETF thing has been a one-way train down. They got caught long. They all bought above 90K. Oh, it's a disaster, right? They have to sell. Everybody who owned it had to like short these, had to go into derivatives market and actually put more pressure on the market so that they could be cosmetically or financially hedged and look like they were taking the decline seriously. Oh my God. There's a reason. There's a reason for the saying, a hedge is something a little doggy pees on. Everyone's like, ooh, I'm hedged. I'm protected. I sold call options. I have yield. I'm so cool. Yeah. You're really cool until it goes up 12%. And the thing that you know is going much higher long-term, you're actually getting shorter as the market goes up. That's the definition of a gamma squeeze. And ironically, the Michael Saylors of the world, his trading desk, BlackRock, whoever, there is undoubtedly somebody out there who is long and still like not making what they should be making. Now, again, don't want to get ridiculous, but you do have a lot of trapped people out there like Tom Lee. Retail will sell the first rally. Retail will sell. They will be the first sellers. When this stops at 6 p.m., retail will sell. Okay. And shorts will attack. And then we see who's really down there. Like, is there somebody willing to come in here and buy this thing when it dips? Because this thing with the 200-week moving average, I mean, I got to be honest. I got to take my own inventory. I did not take the 55-week moving average seriously enough. Like, these characters were all like, when this thing broke the 55-week moving average, they were all like, oh my God, it's the cycle. It's this, it's that, and I was like, okay, really? We're going to do 2017 math on this thing. I'm like, oh, come on. That was my attitude. That was not the right attitude. It wasn't. Okay. So This is Bitcoin weekly. This is the 200-week moving average, this white line. The 200-week moving average is at 68.3. Bitcoin is currently at 69.1. Today is Wednesday. I mean, normally they would say when it breaks the 55-week, it goes to the 200-week, and here we are. What a battle, by the way. Look at these candlesticks. Wick, 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 wick. Brutal. Like who could survive? Nobody. The content factory, like it's like it ground to a halt. Like we were able to service our VIP customers, our Patreon members who, you know, Toby told them yesterday. And Toby kept saying to me, it's like, get on the air, get on the air. I'm like, and say what, and say what, and say what? I got on the air. I repeated myself, and it's better than saying nothing because everyone else was negative. Everyone else was out. Done. Like, you know, smart people in crypto were like, oh, it's going to be a long bear market. Well, it'll be a long bear market if this rally fails. But if this rally doesn't fail, you know, you had guys like Arthur Hayes. Here's another subtle signal that could be interesting. You know, you had like an Arthur Hayes Substack come out and said, you're going to have an AI employment problem. You're going to have a crisis, and that's going to bring in the printer. And the great news about Arthur Hayes says that when this crisis happens, he's going to get to buy Zcash and Bitcoin at amazing prices, assuming there would be like a 2008 event that everybody would lose their mind over the unemployment thing. And everything would go down, and then all the hedge funds would genuflect and buy everything at zero, and then it would go to the moon. Well, guess what? Everyone likes it tighty, and even though he's a super smart guy, a lot of super smart guys, including me, are just getting chopped up. Maybe not super smart, maybe super experienced, whatever you want to call it, right? Everybody thought they were going to get to buy it lower. I was like, wait till April. Wait till after the eclipse. Don't play around with this. I told everybody this in February. Don't play around with the eclipse. Well, guess what? Now they're playing around with the eclipse. Now it's the other way around. It's flipped. All these guys who thought they were going to get to buy it lower, now they have a problem. Like the people who are bullish are like, wow, this is cool. Or is it? Like, I think, believe it or not, this is max pain. That should have been the title of the stream. This is max pain because shorts think they first, obviously they just got stopped out. So they think they're going to come back in and sell. They may be right or wrong. I think they're going to run into BlackRock. And then what's going to happen is the people who are bullish, who thought they were going to get to buy it at 58 or 40 or in October or whatever. Now they have a serious problem. Because they're like, oh my God, do we have to buy this at 70? Do we have to buy this up 10%? Every time you've tried to buy this up 10% for the last 6 months, you have gotten killed. You've gotten destroyed. So people who are bullish are probably like, what do I do? Now we gave Patreon some levels. Like we know what our level is. I don't know that smart people are going to pay 70. I think they're going to wait for something above that before they go, okay, let's go. It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. Then again, maybe that puke to 60 was the low, and this thing that they did to 62, maybe that was the dip. Was that the dip? Is this like a baby uptrend trying to get started? Because every time it goes down, they gobble it up, no matter how negative people get. Max pain, right? If you like it, you don't know what to do. If you hate it, you think you know what to do, but I don't know if it's going to work. Now, again, you got a lot of these altcoins up 15%. That's probably a little stupid, and that's going to invite the bears. And I don't even like that, right? But I do like that Zcash is only up 5%. I like that the stuff that they should be buying is not ridiculous. Like Monero up 7% is not ridiculous. Bitcoin up 8% is not ridiculous. It's not. I mean, you can have, you can have Magnificent Seven stocks moving like this. You can have them moving 5, 6, 7% at a time. Not an issue. Interesting that Circle is up 30%. CoinDesk mentioned that. Interesting that the first thing that the legacy guys went after is not Bitcoin, but they went after the stablecoin companies. Maybe that's because the Clarity Act is going to pass. They didn't mention crypto last night. I mean, it's funny that it's almost like, in a way, they're buying the wrong thing. I mean, it's okay to buy Circle, right? Like, here's everyone's idea of fun today is to buy Circle with a little gap and go action. Stable coins. Okay, yeah, we have to issue a lot of debt, Clarity Act, okay. But I don't know that we need the government to tell us what we already know is written in the Bitcoin white paper about scarcity, about what the AI trade really is, and is the Fed going to let a debacle happen? Because that was the point I forgot to make about Arthur Hayes. Arthur Hayes says the Fed's going to come in and stop an AI-based employment crisis, assuming that the crisis would have to happen before they would do it. If there's a threat of the crisis or a science fiction rumor or some viral Substack, they have to come in now. Because if that ever got out of hand, because there was real fear in equities. We talked about it yesterday. I don't know if I got through. There was real fear over there. Like, this is a permanent regime change. No stock is safe. They can't hedge. I mean, this was a mess. This was serious. Like, it's like, everything was one tweet or one rumor away from a 10 to 15% down move. You can't have that over there for an extended period of time before something comes completely unglued. And I said that, but I didn't say, oh, and they're going to turn on the printer. I mean, if I had said that, you'd have shut it off. You shut it off, which is why this move is happening, right? Because that's probably what happened. They just said, turn it on. Like, Powell cannot walk out the door and have his final exit. Bessent too. He's not leaving, but these guys cannot have a geopolitical situation and a crisis because somebody wrote a Substack and freaked everyone out. They're just like, no, turn on the printer. So you're going to find out. Like I said, the shorts are going to come after this thing because they've been able to do it with impunity. There's nothing has stopped them. The only thing that will stop them is the printer. That's the only thing. Okay, so do I still use squat bars from Moon Sector 7? Yeah, that was from Williams. I love Williams, but when I got introduced to LuxAlgo, it made the live TA process a lot easier. Also, we went to more of like a monologue style. But if you can get good data on squat bars, because I don't really like the way TradingView does it, Williams is just an excellent way to understand the market. I used to love the Williams Awesome Oscillator, and I still do. There's just only so much stuff you can keep on a chart at the same time. But, a guy like Williams was a trend trader, and he would say, you need to want what the market wants. What the market has wanted is for Bitcoin and all of these crypto instruments to be bidless. That's what they've been, bidless. Now we see. Let's welcome who's here. See what kind of crowd we got today. Zepetis, are we back? To be determined. I think BlackRock is coming. Okay, Ariana is here. Is winter over? Dude, I never thought it was winter. I thought it was a bear market. I thought it was a deep correction. I thought it was nasty. I was forced to admit that. I never thought it was winter because of this AI thing. How are you going to have winter? What winter? What are you talking about? We got a robot fighter jet in the air. Skynet is off the ground. Winter? I'm not doing it. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe it is winter. You know, Huckleberry Native. What's going on? Cisco Wolf, super mad up in the middle of the night in the UK. Mojo, John Legend, Odd Dark, a member. Good to see you, sir. Brandon, don't worry, it'll crash again. Cisco waiting for the daily close. Vonis me, don't trust lizard people. Don't. The number one short from the Princess stream was something about me asking everybody if they wanted to, they wanted their life to be run by the lizard people. I'm like, I don't think I should publish that. It's bad enough. I think I said it on the stream. I think if it's a standalone video, and watch out for the lizards, you know, like it's like McAfee forever. You know, I'd rather do the new McAfee meme coin than lizards. I can't stand it. Here's the McAfee meme coin. Big Brother is watching. Let me put up on the air. This guy Vito, I swear to God, I call him kids. Like the project went autonomous, meaning the AI agent, John McAfee, resurrected from the dead. So he's a rebel, the original crypto influencer, let's call him that, is now alive because they use an AI agent and all the public and private data about this guy and anything he ever said he's now an agent. He's 2 years old or 1 year old. So they got a new meme coin for him from this project. And the agent is now running a component of the project or all the project. And of course, as soon as that was announced, they dumped it because that's just what people do. You know, if it doesn't 1000x in 5 seconds, they dump it. And then whoop, guess what? It's back. 45,000 market cap. Can't stop loving that whole thing. Like, you know, it's like we are, you want to talk about we are so early? We're waiting for people to figure out that Bitcoin is scarce. We're waiting for people to figure that out. Can you imagine what happens when people figure out that like the original crypto maverick, fight Uncle Sugar, you know, you can't take my money, you can't spy on me. The original guy who they eliminated from the planet is back, is alive. You can be walking down the street as a walking, talking robot. Where did they figure this out? Right? They didn't figure it out. Some guy had to write a Substack, a theoretical, a work of fiction. You think you've seen, it's like an old guy like me. You think you've seen it all until they ignore reality, but science fiction like turns everything on its head. Like, you know, again, not on anybody's bingo card. Hence the reaction. Jolly is here. What's going on? Ricky. I'm still stacking sats. My roof leaks and I'm eating peanut butter and jelly. Ricky Ricardo Films. Rock on, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, you can't really understand crypto until you've experienced the cry in crypto. You don't understand crypto until you've been through some sort of correction, bear market, winter, you know, the malaise, the pain. Like, again, crypto Twitter, like, you know, nice looking, happy, beautiful people like Wendy O. It's going to be a long bear market. Takes me like 4 days to get a live stream together to get anything to say. Seriously. It's like a desert. Maybe not anymore. Samstrom says we got a long time before 2028. So true. So true. The future is not here yet. But just remember, you know, how far did ChatGPT go in 2 years? They're going to be exponentially farther ahead 2 years from now. They've already got ChatGPT 7. He's talked about it. They just don't have the hardware. We talked about this yesterday. Right? I mean, Elon, the singularity is now. They have it. They just decided to start trading it today. That's all. Now we're going to find out if it's a one-day trade. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. I'm telling you, the Eagle King will find it. He'll send it to me. Any big players start talking about Bitcoin from here on out, you better listen. Howdy from down under. TLA lover. Welcome. So my under the duvet strategy is working for me. The sun is rising again. You know, pulling the covers over your head and just ignoring things and just being like, I'm going to hodl. It's not the exact strategy of the YouTube member area, but Toby refused to get upset about any of this. Any of it. I mean, I was a basket case because this thing, the shorts ground this whole thing down to where you couldn't be positive. And again, they're going to be back. So let's not be stupid. They're going to be back. You actually want them to come back. However, people may start thinking again. I think that's the real reversal. The reversal is the rules have changed. This was discussed in the YouTube member area in depth. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch that. The rules have changed. And we're going to find out what the AI trade really is. It was chip companies. It was NVIDIA. Now you have more chips than you could ever use because you can't plug them into anything because there's no power. So I don't know what trade they're all doing in stonks these days. What trade are they doing? They've spent the money they need to spend. They built the chips. They don't have enough power. Okay, great. You guys will figure out how to monetize this. In the meantime, what kind of returns are you going to get on stocks? It doesn't sound very exciting to me. It certainly isn't 8% in one day like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 8% in one day to get back to where it was in 2021. Do you understand the value of digital scarcity between now and the Bored Ape craze? We're in Bored Ape land. ETH is still $1,000 below where it was when FTX started. And we have flying machines. I mean, if you said we have an autonomous fighter jet in the air, where's ETH? Your answer in 2021 would not have been 2,000. It would have been 12,000. They just put another, or 20,000. Just put another digit on that thing. 2,000. No one cared. And the chart was terrible. Terrible. Chart was terrible. Vitalik is selling it. I mean, I like Vitalik, but it would be funny if Consensus was selling the low. Consensus laid a whole bunch of people off right at the low in crypto winter in 2018. I'll never forget it. I'm like, okay, that's it. Low's in. Right. When people get bearish their own project, it's over. Now, I didn't really say that much because Vitalik has been selling ETH to Tom Lee for 6 weeks. Again, you couldn't be constructive. You could be. You were only able to talk once a week. All right. Now we find out. Farmer Sam Forrest says, what's up with Matrix? I don't have the details on that. I know I'm due to connect with these guys very soon. And I know that they mean business. That's what I know. Because this privacy trade that everybody thinks is like some Zcash blip from last year. You know what? She has this one thing that she says about crypto, AI, and privacy. Right? I'm not telling you what it is. But when you hear it, you'll just buy everything. You won't sit around and worry, well, what sector? Just trust me. In crypto, there is no sector. There's only one sector. That's crypto. What are agents going to use? Crypto. That's it. That's it. You know, in some ways, it becomes easy. It becomes like, crypto is this entire universe that has been completely abandoned at the exact moment where some machine, somebody called it like a billion Einsteins. Somebody said that. I think Jordy Visser said that. An AI agent is a little Einstein. You're going to have a billion Einsteins running around trying to do transactions, move money, prove things exist. What are they going to use for that? Ladies and gentlemen, please come visit us in Patreon and in the YouTube member area where Toby never gave up on this market and never will, even if the bearish barbarians attempt to come back and take control of this thing. But for now, we will enjoy ourselves and wait for any tweets from any big players, because if they BTFD, it's going to be a very exciting second quarter. Even if March is choppy, the shorts will be back. There's a geopolitical event. However, the AI trade has come to crypto. And if the printer was on, you will know in a week. We will see you soon.